My name is Keri Barnum. I'm the marketing director for NewShelves Books, and I am filling in for Amy today for Free Advice Friday. Amy was out unexpectedly, but we hope she'll be back next week. I'm excited to be here and answer your questions. So if you have any questions about book marketing or publishing, just throw them in the chat box or the Q&A box. And to get started, we are going to go with a couple of emails. This one is from Wendy, and Wendy says, I'm getting my book reformatted to a 5.5 by 8.5 size that we recommended. It is in the queue with the formatter. It'll be a pretty gnarly job to do due to the interior layout. As we are getting close to the end of the year, depending on when it's finished, would it be better to have a 2020 copyright to be a newer book, or will that not matter much? Newer is always better. Wendy, I think that if you are going to go through everything of reformatting, if you are going to republish your book and do a second or a revised edition, I strongly recommend that this late in the year, unless you have content that is specific to Christmas or the holidays, that you wait until January to officially launch. I'd put your copyright for 2020, and I'd make sure that you get your pub date for 2020 as well. That way it's just all fresh. Also, depending on where you're marketing, if your book is a great giftable item and it's something that would really go over well in the Christmas market, it would make sense maybe to launch earlier. But if you are going for bookstores, libraries, most of them are pretty tied up during the holidays. So it's not really a great time to get their attention. Better to launch in January or February. Okay, and the next one we have is from Sue. All right. Could you please explain the difference between a second edition and a revised edition if we want to keep the same title and cover but publish a different ISBN? Or would you suggest starting over with a certain amount of the same content but a new title or cover? So Sue, the difference between a revised edition and a second edition is a revised edition needs to have about 40% different from the old edition. So some of those differences can be the cover, it can be actual content, but it needs to be about 40% to be called revised. Keep in mind that when you're doing a second edition, it can be a second revised edition, and that just means it's got new content. However, a second edition is anything that's new, anything with a new ISBN, that's a second edition. It's not the same as the first, it's got a different ISBN. However, I would strongly recommend that if you are going to republish and do a new edition, that you do look at your cover work and see if it's something that could be updated. Covers tend to age out fairly quickly. Every couple of years, new trends are happening. So it would be a great time to update your cover, which also gives readers kind of an idea that you have a new edition coming up and that it's not the same book. If you republish with the same exact cover, but a new ISBN, they're going to think it's the same book. So if there's a reason for updating and you have a chance to update your cover, I strongly recommend that you do that. All right. And the next question we have coming in is from Anna. Anna is asking when she should start doing Amazon ads for her book. She just published it. It's up, but she's not sure when to publish or to start doing ads. So my recommendation is that you get your book up on Amazon. You make sure that your book is set up nicely, that if you have a paperback and an ebook or a hardcover, that all of those formats are linked. And the way that you do that is you just go right onto Amazon, either through KDP or Author Central, and you put in, if you go to the contact us form, you can request that those editions be linked. And that means that if someone goes and let's say you do an ad just for the Kindle edition, if they click on the Kindle edition of your book, they will also see the other options like paperback and hardcover. This also means that if someone leaves a review for your book, it shows up on all formats, not just on Kindle or paperback. So not only does it make you look like you have everything in order, but it also consolidates your reviews, which is a really good idea because we know reviews can be hard to get. Also, before you do ads, I would make sure that you look at your ad copy. when you are uploading directly to KDP for a Kindle book, you can do line breaks and it takes them just by setting them in the description. But when you are doing a paperback, you have to use HTML. So it's very important that you learn the basics of HTML for Amazon and that you do format in there, or else you have this giant block of text and it's not easy to read. It's actually really hard, and a lot of people will skip over the description. HTML is not hard. There are some free HTML converters out there if you search them. But the biggest thing is just making sure that you have paragraph breaks, and that is where you do the little caret, you know, the little arrow with a P and then a caret to close it out. And that will give you a line break at least. And to me, that's the most important, just to get some white space in there. So strongly recommend that you make sure that your page is formatted and that it's easy to read and that all of your editions are linked. Then I say go at it. The sooner you start doing ads, the sooner your book will pick up and sell and get more attention. It's a great way to make bestseller lists for the new releases, and all of that. So it's a great way to get that little orange banner on your Amazon page, which of course you want to take a screenshot because that's exciting. All right, Ray is saying, I'd like to know what needs to happen after my book is edited, formatted, and ready to upload for printing and selling. Ooh, that's a big one. So once your book is ready, you know that it's been edited, it's been formatted, and after it was formatted, it was proofread. It's really important that you proofread again after formatting because sometimes formatting will add in weird proofing errors. So make sure that you do another proofing. And then once you're ready and you're ready to upload, you have a couple things that you need to do. First, you want to go to KDP with your book. Upload your book to KDP first for print. And when you do this, you're setting everything up. You don't have to make it live, but you do need to get it up and get it established on KDP before moving to Ingram Spark. Once you go to Ingram Spark, you're going to upload your book for wholesale. So KDP is for Amazon sales and Ingram Spark will be for your wholesale to get into Ingram for bookstores and libraries. When you upload your book to Ingram Spark, you want to keep in mind that if you want to appeal to retail stores, you absolutely must set your book discount at 53 to 55%. That's going to give bookstores a 40% discount, which is what they require. If you're working with libraries and that's really your target market, you don't have to worry about that as much. They will often take a 25% discount, which means setting your discount on Ingram Spark at about 35%. But it is very important that the whole point of wholesale is that these wholesalers and book buyers get a discount on the book. So make sure that you set a discount. You want to put in all your editorial reviews, all of the information that you can put into that listing at Ingram Spark. And so you've done KDP for the print edition, you have done Ingram Spark for the print edition, and then you're ready to go live with Ingram Spark. You can set a future date. It'll do a pre-sale for you. That's completely up to you. We don't really recommend doing pre-sale for Amazon just because the way the rankings and things are working now, it doesn't benefit you. I would make everything live on the day, actually the day before. If your pub date is going to be October 29th, I would strongly recommend that you make all of your books live and you hit approve no later than the 28th. You want to give them a full 24 hours to go live because most of the time, KDP and Ingram Spark will take at least that long. And if your book goes up a little bit early, it's fine. It's not really going to hurt anything. So you've got your print book up. If you have a hardcover, you put that up on Ingram Spark as well. You also need to make sure to get your ebook up. And for your ebook, you go straight to KDP for Amazon and you upload there. We also strongly recommend that you use Draft to Digital. It's DRAFT, the number 2, digital.com. And there you can upload an EPUB file and get into all of the library markets like Baker and Taylor for libraries, Overdrive, Bibliotheca. It also gets you into iBooks. It'll get you into oh, what are all the other ones? Kobo. It pretty much gets you everywhere for a very reasonable fee. It's really easy to upload your book and get it live there. When you're setting your price, you want to keep the same price as you have on Amazon. It's a really important note, guys. Please keep your book price across the way. Keep it all the same. You don't want to have a price on Amazon and a different price on Ingram Spark or a different price on Drafted Digital. Your book price should be the same across all platforms, not only to stay within the law, because there are laws about having the same price everywhere, but also it's just good form. So make sure you take care of that. So you get your ebook up on Drafted Digital and on KDP. You make everything live. And then you follow those things that I just talked about, where you link your editions on Amazon, making sure that they're linked and that everything looks nice. Same thing for other platforms. You want to make sure that your listing looks nice. Excuse me. So you link every. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You link everything together and then you should be good to go. If I missed anything, Ray, let me know. Once you go live and you've got the book up, you're ready to start marketing, and that's where you do your ads. You can start reaching out to bookstores and libraries and everything like that. I am so sorry. I got a tickle in my throat and it won't go away. All right, and again, if you have questions, go ahead, type them in the chat or the Q&A. I'm going to go back to a emailed question. All right, and the question we have here, yes, all right, so the question we have here is, are there standards for formatting an interior of the book? This person is asking about double spacing, about large letters to make a book bigger. Here's the thing, guys. You can do it. You can double space the book. You can stretch the content to make it look bigger, but it looks like you stretched it. It starts to look like a college kid who is kind of trying to make their paper look longer than it is than a real book. So it's important that you format strategically, that you make sure that everything is the normal spacing. I wouldn't go too big on the font unless you're doing a large print edition. You can always look at maybe doing a smaller trim size depending on what your genre is, but I really wouldn't try to stretch your book and make it look bigger with filler. It will look like that, and not only will it seem cheap, it's going to make the book look like you didn't know what you were doing. It's not going to look professionally published. So either add more content, make it a smaller book, or maybe you just launch it as an ebook and you keep it something that is smaller, maybe a little less expensive. It's up to you, but I would not in any way be stretching your book to make it look bigger, because people will notice. And Pamela here is asking, when you convert your book to audiobook, do you need to just assign a different ISBN? Excuse me. Yes, you do absolutely need a different ISBN for every format, for your paperback, hardcover, ebook, and audiobook. They all have their own ISBN. The only thing you don't need two separate ISBNs for is your ebook has one ISBN. You do not need an ebook ISBN for an EPUB and a separate one for Mobi on Amazon. It's across the board. I am so sorry to be coughing in y'all's ears. I am struggling. But yes, Pamela, you do need a separate ISBN. All right, so Ray is confused because Amy once said that we need to send the manuscript to some places for review 6 months in advance. Do you then send them an unfinished manuscript? Got it. So you're asking about reviews. Yes, if you were going to go for professional reviews, you absolutely need to do that 4 to 6 months in advance. Most of the review places, the professional editorial reviews, need your book a minimum of 4 months in advance. And generally, you would send them what we call an advanced review copy. And for that, it does not have to be completely finished, but you need to have a basically finished manuscript that is bound. Most of the time, you can just print it. You can go on Ingram Spark and upload without an ISBN. And have copies printed just for reviews. And generally, you're going to put something on the cover or a sticker on it that says advanced review copy may have errors. So that way they know that the general story is there, but maybe you have some proofreading to do. Maybe the cover is going to be tweaked a little bit. But you do want the main essence of the book to be intact. Sorry. Thank you, Alexander. Next time I will, if it keeps happening. All right. So you do need to do that for reviews. And when you're sending out for reviews, there's some big ones like US Review of Books, the Library Journal. There's about, I'd say 15 to 20, depending on what your genre is. And when you are reaching out to them, generally they will require at least one hard copy of the book. Some places are taking ebook files, but you'd have to check. There's, I'd say 2 to 3 that are taking them, but most of them still want a hard copy of the book. Some will require 2 or 3 copies of the book. So you want to make sure and plan ahead when you're ordering your books. You also want to have a nice marketing sheet where you have all the information about your book, your ISBN numbers, your prices, your publication date, or anticipated publication date, any reviews or endorsements you have so far, and what you plan to do to market your book. And that way they know that you're serious, that you're presenting like a real publisher. And some of these places will say, well, we don't take indie published books. That's not necessarily true. It's not their standard practice to take any indie published book. However, if your book is published well, if it's formatted well, and if it's presented well, they do sometimes review indie published books or self-published books. So definitely take the time to make a nice review kit. We like to get a folder and put a professionally printed marketing sheet, a cover letter telling them, you know, a little bit about the book. This should not be the back cover copy, but how does this book relate to today? Why would people be interested in reading it? Things like that. And it's just short and sweet. It's got your information so that if they are interested in public or in doing a review, you can do that. You don't want to wait that long. That's the thing. See, and when you think about traditionally published books, many of these books, guys, that are coming out this year, they've been ready for a year. They have 6 months to a year earlier been done and written, and they've been sent in for reviews. And if we want those same types of reviews, we have to do the same thing. If you don't want to wait, not many places will accept your book. You can always submit, but most of them require that you send them the book 4 months before publication. One exception is Midwest. If you do Midwest book reviews, that tends to appeal more to libraries, but they do accept post-publication reviews, so you can always send in for there. And certainly local newspapers and things might do it, but the big ones, the big editorials, do require 4 to 6 months in advance, and there's just no getting around that, unfortunately. Is there a list of these type of professional reviewers that require the book in advance, specifically interested in the middle grade school market? For you, Susan, I would specifically recommend the school library journal. That will be a big one for you. I'm sure there is, I believe on our website, there is a list of reviewers and where you can get that. So go check. If you go to the NewShelves website and you go to the store, there are a bunch of free resources. You can just download them for free. It'll look like it's in the shop and it'll look like it costs money, but then it says $0.00. So there's lots of free things there that you can download and use, including, I think, Amy's books The Right Way. So go take advantage of that. All right. Alexander says, I'm a rookie. I'm told I need to have my novel edited. Yes. What will an editor do? Where do I find them? How much should I expect to be charged? What questions should I ask before I choose one? Might some offer additional services? If so, what might I expect and how much might they charge for it? That's a loaded question. Absolutely. You must have your book edited. There are two types of editors. There's a content editor, and that is someone who's going to read through the book for content. They're not reading for grammar. They're not reading for those details. They are reading for overall storyline. They're going to say, well, you have a fictional novel and this person was in Alabama and then all of a sudden they're in New Jersey. What happened? Like you just left story out and you have to fill in. They're looking for content to flow. That's one type of editor. Generally, and maybe you don't go professional for a content editor, you have beta readers that are reading it and giving you feedback. However, when you're going for an actual edit, when you're going for a proofread edit, you do need an editor. And how much they charge depends on their skill level. Some people charge by the hour, some people charge by the job. You can expect to pay anywhere from $50 an hour to a full job being done at $750 to a couple thousand. Again, it depends on that person's experience and how much they're putting themselves out there. But a true edit, they're going to go line by line. They're going to look for if you're citing things correctly. If you have a nonfiction book, they're going to be checking for your grammar. They're going to be checking for if you use the correct word. They really are critical in making sure that your book looks professional. Um, as far as what you ask them what they've done before, what work they've done. If they say that they've edited a book and you can go grab it on an ebook and read through and see if they did a good job, that's totally awesome. They should be willing to give you some type of idea. You also probably want to ask about their rates, what they charge. Do they do one edit or do they send you back feedback, which you can then respond to and they send it back? You need to make sure exactly what you're getting out of the deal because generally when you have an editor, you want them to read through, send you comments, and usually in a track change on a Word document or whatever it is, but you want track changes and then you want to be able to respond back and have a little back and forth. You want to make sure that's included with your edit. What are some ways to take some of the tasks off our shoulders of things to do? What systems would you recommend to create and implement? I think a VA is a great idea. Having a VA who's willing to do some of the work and the day-to-day tasks that you have automated. If you are reaching out to libraries and you've created a pitch email and you just need to make sure it gets sent out a couple times a day and you don't want to have to take that on, find a VA. Or college kids. If you have college kids in your area or high school kids who are looking to work flexible hours, but they have a computer and would be willing to do that, that's a great opportunity. It gives them a way to earn cash, and it also gives you someone to do some of the things that maybe you don't have time for. So I would say a VA is absolutely an option for people who are looking to offload some of the marketing tasks, but I think a VA best works if you're looking for someone who can do things that generally you would. You either need to have it automated, it needs to be like a copy or paste or kind of common sense, or you need to expect to pay someone more. If you're looking for a VA to do your newsletters and you're looking for a VA to do automated automation for like MailChimp, you need to expect to pay them considerably more than someone who's just going to copy and paste emails. So keep that in mind. That is correct, Ray. If you send in for professional or editorial reviews, there is no guarantee that you will get one. It's a little bit like winning the lottery. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. However, if you don't try, you definitely won't get it. So you kind of have to weigh that out. And a big review in a big journal can mean a lot. It not only credits your work, it kind of gives you professionalism, but they also do publish it. So if you get published in Library Journal and you've got thousands and thousands of librarians looking at this journal and reading about your book, there's a lot of weight to that. All right. I'm going to go back to the chat before I lose it here. Would it be considered bad form to sell your book at a craft show or other local outlet, or to give people who helped with the book before the release date if you were asking for reviews by School Library Journal or other similar reviews? That's a great question. Generally, if you're giving special copies out, absolutely fine. Even doing a soft launch where you are selling it at craft shows or things, it's one of those things that it's probably fine if you do advance copies or advance sales. That's usually not a problem. But if you're going big, if you're doing your big launch, then I would hold back. For the editor, you can go to Upwork.com for about $100. You can find great editors. However, be sure to interview. That's awesome to know, Stephen. So Upwork.com apparently has some really great options for editors. Definitely check that out. I know, excuse me, I know I will be. All right, Stephen is asking the process to be accepted to BookBub. BookBub is a huge online resource for discounted books. They have a large library of books, and people are constantly submitting their books at 99 cents to $2.99 generally to go out in their newsletters. And these are everything from HarperCollins books to indie books. So it's a wide variety. They're very selective. Less than 10% of books submitted get approved to go out in their newsletters. But if you hit their newsletters, there are thousands of readers. I believe the last time that we had a BookBub for a client, when their book went out that day, and they sold over 1,200 copies in like 7 hours. And this was a self-published author. This was an indie author. When we had a client that had a traditionally published book and their book went out on a BookBub, they sold upwards of 6,000, I believe. So it's huge, really, really huge, right? And the way that you do this is you go to BookBub and you sign up for a partner's account. And a partner's account is free. You sign up and then you submit your book and you put in all your book information, your title. You need to have a normally priced book that you're willing to discount. And again, they're looking for discounts of 99 cents to $2.99. They do free books as well. And it's really, sometimes they'll take books that are only available on Amazon, but not often. I highly recommend that you have full distribution for your ebook if you're going to apply for a BookBub. And when you apply for a BookBub, you just put in all your details. There's a little comment section. So if you, let's say you have a motivational book that you just think would be great for the new year. It's got ways to stay healthy, ways to get back on track. It's perfect for, that January push. You would say that in there. I think this book would be a huge hit for January because everyone's trying to get healthy and stay on track. And this book has some really great, awesome ways to do that. And then, of course, they ask for how many reviews you have and all of that kind of thing. Generally, BookBub does look, and they want you to have a minimum of 20 reviews online. So it's important you build up your reviews first. It's important that you are willing to discount your book, and they do look for steep discounts. So if your book is priced at $3.99 and you're just saying you'll drop it to $2.99, probably not that big of a deal to them. But going through a steep discount, making sure that your book is available everywhere that you can have it available for the ebook, and then just apply. It is a chunk of change. If you get accepted for BookBub, it can be anywhere from, I think the cheapest one that I've gotten is $300. Most expensive was $1,200. However, it's a huge audience, it's a huge market, and if it's $1,200 and you're selling 1,200 copies of your book, even at $1, you're kind of breaking even. So you do have to kind of weigh that in, but be prepared to pay a large sum of money, and you would generally apply for the US and abroad. Um, and when you do a book bub drop, it's generally one day. You drop your book price for a day. We generally have done 2 days where we keep it the day after, because sometimes people don't open their emails the first day, but it's a temporary price drop. It's not something that stays up for forever. And if you have drafted digital, you can automatically schedule that promotion. If you're on KDP for your ebook, you do have to go manually do the price drop. But it's temporary, it's not long term, and it's kind of like a special deal, and that's why they do it. Um, Absolutely recommend it. If you don't get approved for a book bub, you can apply every 30 days. And I recommend that you do. I mean, if you think your book is a good fit, go for it. Keep in mind that they're generally looking for newer books. They're looking for books that probably aren't more than a couple years old. If your book is from 2009, it's probably a little bit aged out, unless, you're a multi-award winning bestseller that's got thousands of reviews. Could you describe the process of creating, prioritizing, budgeting, implementing, and executing which marketing tools? Could you describe an overview level of what you do to market a book with bestseller builders? Absolutely. So with Bestseller Builders, that is our program. That is, it's 6 8 month program where we actually help our bestseller builders build a platform. We do a lot of publishing consulting, and then we fully market their book. It's a huge program, guys. But this is why it works, because it's a commitment to making the whole range of things work. It's not just putting your book up on Amazon. It's not just library sales. It's everything. It's social media, constant social media to keep your name up there. It's going to podcasters. It's going to bloggers. It's geez, going to libraries, going to bookstores, doing bookstore events. It's a huge range. And so you can do it also, but it's a lot of work. So I would just recommend that it's a constant daily thing. I don't think that you can do a program like that without constant work and help. I mean, we have a full team and we do it, and that's why it works. Um, but I highly recommend you look into blog tours, look into doing podcasting if that's something that interests you. We like using Up My Influence. That's a great podcast company. Um, Going to libraries, either through like the NewShelves library mailings or going one by one. We also have the Real Fast Library program where you can sign up and learn how to pitch libraries for yourself. Again, it's time intensive and you will have to put in the work, but it does work. Um, Bookstores, again, going to local bookstores, making sure your book is set up properly for retail sales and asking them to carry the book, asking if they do an event. Um, Creating a plan is really just sitting down and saying, what are my goals? Is my book going to be a library market book, or is it going to be a bookstore? Some books are both, but really a lot of times you'll see that your book may appeal more in mass to a certain market, and it's figuring out what that is and concentrating your time there. As far as budgeting, you have to see how much you're making and what your priority is. You also have to look at your personal budget. There's no one size fits all budget. Maybe one person has some extra income and can put it in, and some people can't. So it's really making sure that you're fitting your marketing and your budget to your book and making sure that it works for you. And Sue is saying, I have a 3 book series with similar but different content for my 3 related markets in the same niche. 1, should I publish them one at a time or release all 3 at the same time? 2, if staggered, how much time between each, and announce a coming soon for the other books on my website and take a waiting list for announcements? So you have a 3 book series. May I ask what your series is about, Sue? That would probably help me answer the question a little bit better, as far as different content but related markets. So if you could tell me a little bit more about your books, I would love to answer that one. In the meantime, I will drop down to Susan's question. What is the best, easiest, cheapest way to reach the museum, zoo, gift shop market? Gift shop market can be kind of hard. Again, you're looking at retail sales, so you need to make sure that you have a book that's fully discounted. And when you are going to them, I'd say you really need to research pull up a list of all the museums or the zoos in your area. And then I would start locally. I would go to your local zoo and ask where they order, how they order. Do they order from Ingram? Do they order from um, a specific place? And then kind of get that feel. Um, I think a lot of zoos and museums and things like that are going to be ordering from one specific place, and you need to get in there. Um, I know a lot of gift shops actually go through gift shop wholesalers, and you have to apply to those separately, not just Ingram, to get into their catalog. So I highly recommend that you go to your local gift shops or zoos, wherever you think your book should sell, um, and ask them where they're ordering. That would be the best part to start, and then work from there. What had the worst results someone has gotten from bestseller builders? What about the best results? Worst results, I haven't actually heard of any worst results. Most of our clients I mean, they're launching a book and they're getting constant publication or publishing and marketing advice. So I haven't heard any worst results. But for the best results, I would say there are two types of people in bestseller builders. There are those who are in the program to not only launch books, but to learn how to launch their own books. I have seen especially those who are doing fiction, who are doing series, and they have learned and soaked up and asked questions and really taken advantage of the one-on-one time to learn all of our processes, so that when they launched the first two books, we were right there with them. But for books 3, 4, and 5, they knew the process to do it. So they really learned a lot, and they picked up all of our approaches so that they could continue on. That person specifically has just hit some bestseller lists, and they're really doing great. So it's not only launching a book, getting the professional insight and all of the help along the way with bloggers and all of that, but learning long term so that you can take what you use to continue to be a successful author. And I certainly hope to see that from her. Of course, we're still in contact even though her program is over, and I'm watching her and I'm just watching her soar, and it's amazing. Is there any different methodology to approaching regular libraries, high school libraries, and college libraries? Um, Yes and no. I think overall the general aspect is still you need to make sure that your books are available through Ingram. Libraries, I've heard straight from a librarian's mouth that if they want a book badly enough or a professor asks for it, they will go straight to Amazon Prime. They will use their business account and they will order the book and have it in 2 days. However, generally to have better chance at libraries, you do need to be available at Ingram. Baker and Taylor is great, especially Baker and Taylor for ebooks, which you can do through Draft to Digital. um, and then just going and presenting your book. Another great thing is that if you know your book would be a great fit for a certain market, encourage people to go ask for it. If you have a big fan base or newsletter and you say, if you love this book and you think it's a great resource for your local library, please go in and ask them to carry it. Um, a lot of libraries, they're there for their patrons, they're there for the community. So if people are coming in and asking for a book, they certainly do take note of that. High school libraries, a lot of them have to go through they go through a lot of red tape. Um, uh, they don't just put a book on their shelves. A lot of times it goes through a review panel. So it's important to keep that in mind, that if you are trying to hit a specific market, you know their parameters. Like for high school libraries, I'm sure they have to make sure that a book is appropriate for that library. Having library journal reviews is great. Having other librarians give you great feedback and being able to share that and endorse that is great as well. But really, it's just that awareness and letting them know about your book and getting out there. And so it's finding the right people to talk to and reaching out and doing it consistently. Okay, and Sue's got back. She's saying, as sports psychologist, I have a popular older published book for gymnastics coaches, parents, and athletes. The most popular topic was on commandments principles, so I expanded the topic into a new book for each market with a workbook component for the print version. Excuse me. Can you list the best library journals you know? When I say library journal, it is literally library journal. There is the school library journal, and then there's library journal. And that is one company. If you look it up, you will definitely find it. All right, Sue, so you have a principals book for gymnastics, and you've got coaches, parents, and athletes. I think that you could do them all three at once. However, I think you would be able to expand your marketing and make more of an impact if you did them kind of one at a time. As far as launching them, I think you could do it 3 months apart, or you could make it spread out more. If you do one and then you say coming soon, gymnastics commandments and principles for parents, or that kind of thing, I think you can absolutely spread it out. And what will happen and what you'll see is that when you release your second book, you will probably increase book sales for the book that you already launched. So I think that's a good tactic to not only release a new book and have something new and interesting to say, but to revive sales from the previously released book. So I would do it that way. And like I said, 3 months, I think I wouldn't do it any shorter than 3 months, but I think you could do 3 months. You could do it longer. It just depends on if you've got them all ready or not. But I think that's a pretty fun idea. All right. I noticed Amazon allows publishers to post graphic memes listed under a book description. How can I add that to my book page? Um, if you go to your book page on the very bottom, it has a little spot where it says upload pictures and videos. You go right on there and you just upload to the page. Again, you're going right to the sales page. If you're logged in, you go to the very bottom and it will have a little button. It looks like a blank picture field, and you can upload there. So that's fun to do that way. You can also look through Author Central to see what can be uploaded there. Author Central does have some cool things that suggest for the author where they can do some changes and some updating to their description. So that's a fun way to do it. And I think that's a great way to take advantage of things. I think visuals are very important. That's why our covers are so important, because they really do sell books, especially online. And using those visuals is just a really smart decision. So good call on that one, Annette. Terry is saying, I have the ISBN numbers in my paperback and Kindle listed. I'm now getting someone to format my book for EPUB. Do I need a new ISBN for the EPUB format? No. As long as your Kindle has your own ISBN, you don't. You only need one ISBN for your ebook. That will work for EPUB, it will work for Mobi. So if you have one digital ebook ISBN, that can go up on iBooks for Apple, it can go up on Kindle, it can go up on Kobo, and it can go up on Overdrive. You only need one ISBN across the board for your digital books. All right, guys, it's 10:45, and I think we got through all the questions. I'll give you just a minute more if anyone has any other questions they'd like to answer today. I see Stephen went up. Last call for questions, so if you've got any more, put them in the chat box, put them in the Q&A, and we'll answer those before we end today. Do you have any articles on how to optimize an Amazon book description, author page, or other components in Amazon? I believe we do have some up on the NewShelves website. If you are not on the NewShelves website, absolutely go there. Check out the blog. There is a search bar where you can actually type in Amazon. You can type in description, all sorts of things. Another great place to go to for Amazon book description is Brian Cohen. He is amazing at Amazon. That's Bryan Cohen, Cohen. If you look him up, he's got a blog also, and he is just on point with Amazon for book descriptions. He's got some great advice on his blog, so definitely check those out. Should you advertise your book as a series even though they may not be a series? Um, I think you can. I mean, if you think about it, when you look at the books for dummies, yoga for dummies, banking for dummies, all of those, they don't necessarily have the same topics, but it's still a series because they're all the for dummies books. So I think you can advertise it as a series, especially because it doesn't have to be the same audience as long as it's the same overall feel. Same thing, chicken soup for the teenage soul, chicken soup for the mom soul. I mean, they're all different audiences, but they're still a series. So I think it's fine to do that as a series. And you never know. I mean, if you are advertising as a series and maybe a parent finds it and then they think, man, my kid needs this too, and they order it. So I think that's cool to do. And they do kind of build on each other. They play off each other and they have the same content in general. They have the same um, topic. So I think it's absolutely fine to market them as a series for sure. I think there's a lot of tie-in because again, maybe a parent's reading it and they think it'd be a cool coach gift for end of year, that kind of thing. So I say you take advantage of that. Chicken soup for the vegetarian soul. That's a good one, and I haven't heard of it, but maybe it's veggie soup for the mother's soul. A little more PC there. That's good for a laugh. All right, guys, I think we got through all of the questions. Again, I am Keri Barnum, filling in for Amy today. Hopefully she'll be back next week, and I appreciate you guys joining me today and spending your Friday morning with me. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.